The last information we have on Daniel Robinson is that he was most likely in the unforgiving terrain of the Arizona desert. Brian Laundrie, on the other hand, well, it's anybody's guess where he is. A Florida swamp, I don't know, maybe parts unknown. Here to tell us what it would take to survive in such conditions for an extended period of time is Steve Claytor of North Florida Survival. Steve, I'm glad you're with me because I'll tell you, there's a big difference between the Florida swamp and the Arizona desert. But honestly, if you're looking at both men, it's possible they're both in the same place. It's possible Brian Laundrie could have made his way westward towards Arizona, or plans to, because the winter is coming and he might not want to be in Florida. But if you're going to go for the long haul, you can't be novice.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, being a professional in what I do, teaching primitive wilderness survival, I would not want to be in a wilderness survival situation in Florida, and certainly not hiding in the swamps on the run in Florida. Even in the most optimal conditions, such as like in wintertime would be the best, it's still not going to be pleasant by any means.
Can I ask you, there's a picture that Brian Laundrie, was posted on social media, and it really stood out to me when I thought about how he might be surviving out there throughout the nights, wherever he might be. And it has him in a hammock right next to a stream. I don't know if you can see return video where you are, but that is quite a professional setup. It looks like the kind of cot that you can pack on your back pretty lightly and be nice and dry and up off the creepy crawlies on the ground and sleep anywhere without any kind of overhang. Is that the kind of thing he needs? Is that enough?
Absolutely not enough. What he needs is to not be in the swamps. So those little hammocks, they fold up, they're very compact, would easily fit into a backpack. But without mosquito netting and without a whole lot of some kind of bug spray, he's just not going to do well down there. His biggest adversary is the heat and the humidity. Your body just can't cool down in Florida, especially if you're on the move all day trying to avoid or hide from law enforcement and searchers. Your body's going to sweat, but that sweat never gets a chance to evaporate. So your body does two things. Number one, it can't cool down. And number two, it starts to dehydrate yourself. And a fun fact for you, when your body is 1 quart low on water, your brain functions about 50% of its normal capacity. And that's where bad choices are going to come into play.
Wow. Well, that, I think, for those who are, cheering for the police to catch this man, they're happy to hear that he may be losing his faculties, Everest style. I backpacked around the world for a year, and I had treatment for water so that whenever water got low, I knew I could always drink anything, even if it was disgusting. I would imagine that this avid outdoorsman, Brian Laundrie, has something that is similar, but I also know you can't do it for very long because it is very, very bad for you.
So you can use filtered water for an indefinite amount of time. Most filters are very small, and you can hook them to a soda bottle or a hydration bladder, or just drink through a straw. And there's several brands out there. This little one that I just showed you, you can pick up at your local big box stores, about $20, and it does 100,000 gallons of water. And that's a lot of water. Another thing he could use is some kind of liquid chemical, like tincture of iodine 2%. This holds about 600 drops, and it takes 6 to 12 drops to purify a whole quart of water. So you can go quite a long time by purifying and disinfecting your own water. But if he's not getting that water into his body fast enough, then he's not going to do very well. Now, boiling's the best way, but it's in his best interest to have a fire while searchers are looking for him, if indeed that's where he's at.
Yeah, so if he's trapping squirrels, he's going to be eating them raw because you can't cook them if you can't make a fire. And a fire sure is a dead giveaway. You're darn right about that, Steve. Real quickly, it's one thing to, find your campsite and secret yourself away. It's another thing day after day after day to avoid people, hikers, campers, and strollers, and eventually these guys get caught. The law of averages, I mean, we tried to find all the different men that have run from the crime that they committed, and we couldn't find a lot that made it. I mean, Eric Rudolph, 5 years, but he's the exception to the rule. They usually get caught, don't they?
They do. I can say generally in anything in life, if you do something wrong, you're probably going to get caught eventually. And I mean, being on the run, and if he's out there in those swamps, they'll find him eventually, or they'll recover his remains, one or the other. I hope they find him so the family can have justice. But being an avid outdoorsman and the fact that he's experienced, I have my doubts that that's where he's at to begin with. I mean, it's a huge, very unfriendly place to be this time of year. And with winter coming, it won't be as bad. But if they, there's a chance that they can find him before then, and that's it.
I got 10 seconds left, but I don't think he's in the swamp. But if he's elsewhere, he's got a lot of similar problems too, doesn't he?
He does. There'll always be those mitigating circumstances. You never know what nature will throw at you.
Steve Clater, I'd love for you to come back as we continue, the coverage of this, because we think we're, getting tips all the time that take us to different locales, and I think you're the guy that probably knows best what those locales will offer in hostility. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.